Haribo, aloha, happy Aloha Sunday. Got my Aloha shirt on for that. My name is Janapati Das, and we are here for Krishna book reading 14. Continuing reading on Kamsa, continues his atrocities. I think that's the name of the chapter. It's chapter 4 of the Krishna book, and we're just going to start in right on the kirtan. So you know how this goes. If you haven't joined this before, go back and watch on my YouTube channel, like my channel, and listen to the Krishna book readings 1 through 13. And the kirtan, you just will sit back, listen the first time through to the mantras that I'm going to be singing. And the second time through, or the even time throughs, you can repeat with me. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual teacher, Jagat Guru Siddhaswarapananda, who taught me this process, and he is a direct disciple from A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, who translated what we're reading today. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Sita Swarupananda Amahamsa Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Advaita Gadadhara Srivasudeva Bhaktivinoda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasudeva Bhaktivinoda Hare Haribo. Krishna Krishna. Krishna. So the chanting of Krishna's names has been said by the sages and the saints and the spiritual masters that one who hears and repeats the name of Krishna just one time is the most fortunate. That's how easy it is. You're already liberated just by chanting Krishna's names, even inimically or as a joke or something. What to say if a person engages constantly in this bathing of the holy names is very, very wonderful. So, as we know, Vasudeva came back after replacing Krishna with the expansion of Yoga Maya, the energy Yoga Maya, as Krishna's sister. They switched with Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan. So Krishna and Balaram were transferred over there. And when the brother Kamsa, King Kamsa came in, he was going to already kill the baby. And Devaki had tried to pacify him and saying, it's just a girl. It's not a boy. You see, it's just a girl. You don't need to kill this. Let me raise this. I'll give it to your son as a wife. All these things. And he still tried to dash this baby on the ground. And of course, as we know, the demigoddess Durga flew up in the sky with all of her majesty in 8 arms and all of her weaponry, and was saying, you don't be so cruel to your sister, you fool. This child is not here. That is going to kill you. Leave your sister alone. Of course, demons are people who act in a demoniac way. They'll be wanting to worship. They don't mind the worship of demigods or demigoddesses for material wealth, because in the stories in the Srimad Bhagavatam, a lot of times the demons will worship the demigod Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma or many different other demigods, Goddess Durga, Goddess Kali, to try to achieve some kind of material benefit. But Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the worship of demigods is a useless endeavor, as we've said before. It's not necessary to worship Krishna. One can worship Krishna even if you're wanting material benefit. It's better to worship Krishna because Krishna is the source. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, from which all benedictions and benefits come from. So, when Devaki saw her brother so repentant, Kamsa had basically freaked out because his baby turned into Goddess Durga and chastised him. He was like, "Oh, that's bad." He had this realization, a brief realization. When Devaki saw her brother so repentant, she also became pacified and forgot all his atrocious activities against her children. Vasudeva, also forgetting all past incidents, spoke smilingly with his brother-in-law, Vasudeva. Vasudeva told Kamsa, "My dear fortunate brother-in-law, what you are saying about the material body and soul is correct. Every living entity is born ignorant, understanding this material body to be itself. This conception of life is due to ignorance, and on the basis of this ignorance, we create enmity or friendship." So a very important point, because the idea, the misconception, the false identification of your body and your mind with yourself creates a situation where people tend to think of themselves in camps of us and them. So you can see this very well on things like Twitter, but even in the world, this person's black, this person's white, this person's a woman, this person's a man, this person's a Democrat, this person's a Republican. They fight against each other. Or, this is part of my camp. This is my friendship. I align myself with this person. But in also the story, Prahlad Maharaj, which is another wonderful story in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he also made this prayer that the idea of this sort of us and them, was very the sort of political enemy and friendship was very distasteful, because it ignored the fact that all living entities, regardless of whatever body they are taking on, is a spirit soul. In other words, they are Krishna's children. So this idea of creating, well, I'm in this camp and you're in this camp, I'm a Muslim and you're a Christian, I'm a Hindu, you're an atheist, is actually a ignorant concept, because those are temporary designations that come with the body, the misconception of the body. You know, I'm young, you're old, kids are stupid this day, old people don't know what they're baby boomers, or whatever people might say. It's all based on this false identity with the body, and it does not actually address the individual. The individual spirit soul, in other words, it's more beneficial to act on a platform of respect, kindness, and love and tolerance, because as a person who engages in spiritual life understands that they are not their material body or their mind, but they are spiritual in essence. And when they look at another living entity, they offer their respects to that person, because that person is an energy of Krishna. They see Krishna in the other person. That's what spiritual life is about, and that's why the hearing and chanting of Krishna's names, the engaging in Krishna Katha, hearing of Krishna stories, helps clear the mirror of your heart, or clear the heart of dust, so that you can see not only who you really are, but who everyone is. And you can also see the Supreme Lord in your relationship in love with the Supreme Lord. It's a wonderful process. And it's not just something that is speculated about. It's a reality. It's a real natural returning to the way we are, but have been forgotten because of our enviousness, our desire to lord and control and be Krishna in this material world. So this is what's being talked about here. Lamentation, jubilation, fearfulness, envy, greed, illusion, and madness are different features of our material concept of life. We could take those all apart just in just discussing, but we could take a couple of them. I'm sad about something, like I lost my dog, or I lost some money, so I'm sad. But you know, you understand that money is just come temporarily into our material existence. It comes and it goes. We're not sad, because we understand that beyond that we are spiritual. We will continue spiritually. These ideas of envy, like we've talked about, enviness. I want to be the Lord. Everyone is acting on this platform in this world, and it's very amazing to me that people want to have solutions. They want to have peaceful situations, but if they can't control even the basic premise of the desires to control and enjoy through their senses, and everybody's acting like that, then how can we have peace? If we think we're on that platform of trying to lord and control over things, how can we have peace? How can we have a good environment? How can we have no war? If we're constantly on that, if we constantly think this is us, this is them, you know, all based on this false concept: I am my body, I am my mind, this is who I am, I'm my skin color, I am my race, I am my whatever it might be, sex, I'm old, I'm young, I'm fat, I'm skinny, whatever. It's all based on a material falsehood. A person influenced like this engages in enmity due only to the material body. Being engaged in such activities, we forget our eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva took the opportunity of Kamsa's benevolence and informed him that his atheistic activities were also due to this misconception of life, namely taking the material body to be the self. When Vasudeva talked with Kamsa in such an illuminating way, Kamsa became very pleased, and his guilt for killing his nephew subdued. With the permission of his sister Devaki and brother-in-law Vasudeva, he returned to his homes with a relieved mind. But the next day, Kamsa called all his counselors together and narrated to him all the incidents that had happened the night before. All the counselors of Kamsa's were demons. and eternal enemies of the demigods. So they became depressed upon hearing their masters speak of the night's events. It's like, what are you doing? And although they were not very experienced or learned, they began to give instructions to Kamsa as follows. And this happens a lot. People take advice from the very stupid people. They have no knowledge, they have no wisdom, they have no intelligence, but people look to them as an authority of something or another. Dear sir, let us now make arrangements to kill all children who were born within the last day at 10 days in all towns, countries, villages, and pasturing grounds. Let us execute this plan indiscriminately. We think that the demigods cannot do anything against us if we perform these atrocities. They are always afraid of fighting with us, and even if they wish to check our activities, they will not dare to do so. Because of the immeasurable strength of your bow, they fear you. Indeed, we have practical experience that whenever you stood to fight with them and began to shower your arrows on them, they immediately began to flee in all directions just to save their lives. So the demigods are very powerful, but in this case, King Kamsa is a powerful demon. And some of the demons that have come into the stories of, whether it's from in the Ramachandra, Ravana, the demon Ravana, or the demon Hiranyakashipu, were very, very powerful demons. They were able to conquer the whole universe, and all the demigods too, had the demigods serving them. And so this is sort of a similar situation. It's like that's why the demigods went to Krishna to pray. These kings are very powerful. These demons, and they've taken over, and they're causing problems for religious activity. With folded hands, so many of the demigods were unable to fight with you, and they immediately surrendered themselves unto you by opening their turbans and the flag on their heads. With the folded hands, they begged you to spare them and said, "My lord, we are afraid of your strength. Please release us from this dangerous fight. We have also seen many times that you would never kill such surrendered fighters when they were all fearful, their bows, arrows, and chariots broken, forgetful of their military activities and unable to fight with you. So actually, we have nothing to fear from these demigods. They are very proud of being great fighters in peacetime outside of the warfield, but actually they cannot show any talent or military power on the warfield. Although Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and Lord Brahma are always ready to help the demigods headed by Indra, we have no reason to be afraid of them. As far as Lord Vishnu is concerned, he has already hidden himself within the hearts of all living entities, which is true, but that doesn't make it, he's expanded himself. He's not hiding himself. And he cannot come out. As far as Lord Shiva is concerned, he has renounced all activities and he has already entered into the forest. And Lord Brahma is always engaged in the different types of austerities and meditation. And what to speak of Indra? He is a straw in comparison to your strength. Therefore we have nothing to fear from all these demigods, but we must not neglect them because the demigods are our determined enemies. We must be careful to protect ourselves, to root them out from their very existence. We should just engage ourselves in your service and be always ready for your command. The demons continue to say, if there is some disease in the body which is neglected, it becomes incurable. Similarly, when one is not careful about restraining the senses and lets them loose, it is then very difficult to control them at all. Therefore, we must always be very careful of the demigods before they get too strong to be subdued. The foundation of strength of the demigods is Lord Vishnu, because the ultimate goal of all religious principles is to satisfy him, which is true. The Vedic injunctions, the brahmanas, the cows, austerities, sacrifices, performances of charity, and distribution of wealth are all for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. So let us immediately begin by killing all the brahmanas who are in charge of the Vedic knowledge and the great sages who are in charge of the sacrificial, ritualistic performances. Let us kill all the cows, which are the source of butter, which is so necessary for performing sacrifices. Please give us your permission to kill all these creatures. Pretty demoniac. Actually, the limbs of the transcendental body of Lord Vishnu are the brahmanas, the cows, Vedic knowledge, austerity, truthfulness, sense and mind control, faithfulness, charity, tolerance, and performance of sacrifices. Lord Vishnu is situated in everyone's heart. and is the leader of all demigods, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. We think that to kill Lord Vishnu is to persecute the great sages and Brahmanas, said the ministers. So they have this idea that they just cause all these problems and they're going to destroy Lord Vishnu. Thus, being advised by the demoniac minister, Kamsa was from the very beginning the greatest rascal, decided to persecute the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Being entrapped by the shackles of all-devouring eternal time, he ordered the demons to harass all kinds of saintly persons, and then he entered his house. The adherents of Kamsa were all influenced by the modes of passion as well as illusion by the modes of ignorance, and their only business was to create enmity with saintly persons. So we briefly touched on this idea of the three material modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And many people are, even in this world today, are influenced by modes of ignorance and modes of passion, which are very, very strong. Modes of ignorance being very lethargy, darkness, laziness, sleep, extensive drug use. There's so many uses of ignorance that you can see in the world. Modes of passion, control, creation, driving force, and this idea of like go, go, go. Fighting is also a mode of passion. So these demons were very much in these modes. So they were not in this idea. They didn't have any access to be able to understand Krishna or understand Lord Vishnu, because when you're in these modes, it's very, very hard to even see things. It's kind of like being in a big fog, and all you see is fog. You don't really see things for what they really are. You don't have any kind of spiritual knowledge in these modes because you're influenced. And even more so by the idea that it's me doing it. It's my choice. It's my thoughts. And I want to drink alcohol and be drunk all the time because I'm choosing to do it. It's me. I want to do it, and I've made that decision. But it's not. That's not how it works. The energy of the material world is influencing you in this mode, and you go along with it. So people who may be fortunate enough to come into contact with a pure devotee of Krishna, or to hear this chanting, it's like they take the hose, it washes it off. And sometimes people may understand. They may be very deeply in the mode of ignorance, and they hear chanting and they keep hearing it, and then they start doing it, and everything falls into place. They just stop doing their things that they're doing in the mode of ignorance. They may move into a mode of passion, trying to do things really well, but they gradually go to the mode of goodness, and from the mode of goodness they go to transcendental goodness, which is the serving of Krishna, which is beyond the material modes. The adherents of Kamsa were all influenced by the modes of passion as well as illusion by the modes of ignorance, and their only business was to create enmity with saintly persons. Such activities can only reduce the duration of life. This is very true about today too. It's not a very cool thing in people's mind to be, spiritual, or to have saintly people, or have people, any kind of religion or anything like that is considered to be negative. And even the people that sometimes are in religions try to pander to this sort of material concept of life. You go to heaven or whatever, just donate money to the church, or it's good, God wants you to accumulate wealth or whatever. It's like so many things like that. The demons accelerated the process and invited their deaths as soon as possible. The result of persecuting saintly persons is not only untimely death. The act is so offensive that the actor also gradually loses his beauty, his fame, and his religious principles, and his promotion to higher planets is also checked. So someone who's actually openly inimical towards someone who's trying to develop their relationship with God in a pure way, that's actually considered an offense, and they will have a reaction to that. It's okay if people want to think in an atheistic way or whatever, but just you live your life and you leave saintly people alone. It's better for you. Driven by various kinds of mental concoctions, the demons diminish all kinds of welfare. An offense at the lotus feet of the devotees and brahmanas is a greater offense than that committed at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, a godless civilization becomes the source of all calamities. Look at our own world right now. People are living a very demoniac kind of life with very little spirituality or very even little true religious idea. The churches are being empty. No one goes to church anymore. No one goes to the mosque. It's like, the pursuit is material goals. That's what it's for. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 4th chapter of Krishna. Constantly begins his persecution, and we are going to continue next time, chapter 5, the meeting of Nanda and Vasudeva. Right, those two great souls, Vasudeva, the father of Krishna, and Nanda, sort of like the stepfather, but thinking he's, but they're actually, I believe they're related, in like cousins or something of that matter, through different familial ways they're related. So it's all very interesting. We'll get into it, and now Krishna is going to be growing up, and we're going to hear more wonderful pastimes of Krishna. Thank you so much. We're going to get into some more kirtan to end this out. So please join along, and feel free to share my page with your friends and family, and make sure to like and comment on the pages if you like what you're hearing. If you have questions, feel free to put that in the comment sections. The more you do that, the more people are able to hear about Krishna. So it's very wonderful. Let's just do that to spread this wonderful Krishna Katha around the world. Okay. Thank you very much, Haribol. Thank you all so much for coming today and listening to these videos. Namaste.